And there's one other thing I have to do to make my comments work. If I click on the comments, there we go. If I click on the comments. Okay, oh, I got it to work. All right, hi, good morning, nonprofit leaders. If you're here, would you please write, I'm here, so that I can see you. I do see that there's at least one person viewing. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I will let you know that this this live stream will be shorter than normal. I'm not going to take the whole 15 minutes today, same as last week. Hoping that you'll add a little bit more time to next week when we talk about fiduciary duties, which is a big topic and will take a little longer than 15 minutes. All right, Michael Hudson, hi, so glad you're here. And I know there's somebody else here, so please type I'm here so I know. I will try to watch. Remember, I can only access my phone in order to see comments. Hi, Judy, I'm so glad you're here. Yay. All right, let's get started. We are talking about board orientation and onboarding today. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. And let's see. There we go. Hey, it worked. I love it when it works. So, folks, you may remember from our discussion last Tuesday about board recruitment, that Board Source's yearly survey reminded us that board members complain year after year that they weren't provided with honest or accurate expectations of the board members and their board membership. So the first communication transgression often occurs during the recruitment process itself, when an explanation of duties isn't given because we are so eager to get that new person to agree to be on our board that we leave out a few important things. It is important, though, that your nonprofit develop a recruitment process that includes all those expectations. We addressed this last Tuesday, and if you missed it, you can still watch that video, which was called the 4 Steps to Recruit Your Best Board Members. You can watch it here in this group or on my YouTube channel. Board members who find out later about time commitments and fundraising expectations can harbor hidden anger that impacts their performance. Hopefully, you did or will communicate the general expectations during recruitment so that your orientation process, while more specific regarding those expectations, will never come as a surprise. The board orientation should happen before their very first board meeting. So who should facilitate that orientation? Well, minimally, it will be the board chair and executive director who conduct the orientation. I am aware that some boards leave out the executive director. I will tell you that's an extremely poor practice because it sends a signal that the executive director doesn't share in a leadership role and doesn't allow the executive director to get to know the board member with whom he or she will be working. Another critical reason not to leave out the executive director is that that person is the boots on the ground. They know all the workings of the nonprofit and have valuable insight to offer the new board member. The orientation session could include committee chairs, the executive committee, senior staff, and current board members. Including current board members is another good way to provide a refresher to older board members, allows the new board member to get to know their new colleagues, and reinforces a culture of continuous learning. You're going to learn in our next live session on fiduciary duties why it is so important to ensure that your board is open to learning. A best practice for orientation will require that you develop a written manual. You'll need to have this prepared prior to your orientation session. So what should it have in it? And why should we have it? Well, first of all, It serves two primary functions. For the new board member, it's an orientation handbook that provides useful information about the organization, board structure, and operations, as well as key people. For the balance of a board member's board service, the manual then becomes an indispensable reference and resource manual. It serves as a source of information for board members, staff, and volunteers. It's a working tool and a central resource about the organization and the board. Historically, the manual is a giant 3-ring binder. That's what we used to have at Travis Audubon. And it was horrible to have to copy that every time. And it would be composed of dividers and a lot of paper covering the topics such as organizational history, annual reports, policies. But a better and more efficient practice is to load it on your website into an area that's password protected, or use a web-based sharing platform like Google or Dropbox, or any other of those sharing tools that you're already comfortable with. So what do you include in your board manual? Well, this is unique to your nonprofit. You're going to have your vision, mission, and values, the history of your organization. I'm going to suggest that you use my board roles and responsibilities, which you're going to find on my website. I'll show you where and tell you how to get to it. Those are going to be related to what we're talking about next week, by the way, for fiduciary duties. But also board positions, job descriptions. I have samples of those on my website. Again, I'll show you how to get to those. And then you should include a board member contact information place that, of course, will change every time your board changes. You should include your board pledge form. Now, that's a whole topic, and I'm going to do a video on it. And you can find my sample also in the same place on the website. I'm not going to say more about that right now because it is its whole topic. You're going to have the executive director job description, some communication guidelines, which you can find on my website. Now, calendar of board meetings and other dates, important, your organizational chart, those kind of things will be unique to your organization. So you'll include those. And of course, your own articles of incorporation, bylaws, your budget, strategic plan, summary of programs and services, that kind of thing, all unique to you. Some organizations include that determination letter from the IRS, as well as your certificate of tax exemption from your state. That could be included. Now, you don't want to overwhelm your new board member, of course. So you might want to go over table of contents, showing them what's in there and suggesting they review it and ask questions, but then highlight certain sections during your orientation that are critical, that they start hearing about all the time, such as your board roles and responsibilities and your pledge form, especially because a lot of people are really scared or uncomfortable to talk about the fundraising responsibility. So the board pledge form can be used to demonstrate the many ways that they can be involved in fundraising that eliminate the discomfort of that topic. It might be wise to have a whole section on policies. Depending on how many policies you have, what you could do is separate your policies out in a separate document in that shareable site, but then have the list of the policies in the manual itself. But you know you need to have the ones that are recommended by the IRS on your 1090 form. Your conflict of interest policies, you cannot do without that. And there is a sample, I believe, in my recruitment package, also pretty much in the same spot on my website. So you want to have conflict of interest policy, the whistleblower policy, and the document retention policy. Some board manuals do contain a summary of prior board motions as part of succession planning. That's suggested as a way of allowing current board members to know if the board has acted previously on an important issue. So you could give them access to prior board minutes, but I really want to suggest something, because this was a problem at Travis Audubon Society. We had 52 years or something ridiculous like that of board minutes. So one of the board presidents and I went together, we went through them all and started pulling out the motions. So put your motions in a separate document what the motion is and what the result was. So then you can always find out, has this been decided before? Or if it has been decided before, do you want to change that decision at this point? But you don't want to reinvent the wheel, you know, and you have turnover all the time with board members. So it's a good idea to put those motions somewhere else. All right. Obviously, you want to invite questions throughout the orientation session, and always encouraging a culture of integrity and honesty. All right, here's where you can find it. If you go to the free stuff on my website, and scroll down past the volunteer stuff, you'll see communication guidelines, you'll see the board recruitment package of documents, and then you get to the board orientation package and you can download all of these samples, okay? All right, let's talk about onboarding. Onboarding includes building knowledge and skills, but should also serve to fully motivate the board member to enthusiastically embrace the mission and feel an important part of the team. Some models make use of a buddy system. Board members volunteer to be a new member's buddy for the first several months or so. The buddy takes the new member under their wing to answer questions, provide a deeper review of organizational documents and history, as well as introduce the new member to programs and staff. Some organizations include tours of facilities or field trips to see the mission in action to engage the new member more fully. If there are volunteer activities, the new member might be encouraged to volunteer for their board buddy in a program activity, again to involve them more fully. Onboarding might also include involving the new board member in a committee, or even better, allowing the new member to meet with various committees to determine the best fit. Some boards include presentations by one or more board members about specific programs or activities. The strategic plan might be a good resource for presentations and can serve also to motivate the new board member. I want to tell you that it is eventually, if you don't have this already, very helpful to have a separate board committee whose purpose is board development. This includes procedures related to recruitment, nomination, orientation, training, evaluation, and succession planning. That committee should also concern itself with ongoing support of board members. This one should be in your bylaws, and of course you can always amend your bylaws to include that. And that really brings me to the end of orientation and onboarding. So let me remind you, I hope you will come to the meetup because I really need feedback on this one. This is the one that's going to turn into the webinar on February 3rd for Bloomerang. And I'm adding a couple activities to this meetup to see if they work for that webinar that I'm going to do. And I really want feedback. So please come to this. Here's the link, but you can also get to it in the Facebook page or Facebook group, sorry. And then next week is what I think the most important topic in the nonprofit sector, and that's the fiduciary duties that nobody understands. And this is where I put some of my lawyer hat on to explain how this works and why it is such an issue in the nonprofit sector. So I'm hoping you will indulge me next week, spend a little bit more time. I don't know exactly how long it's going to be yet, but I know that I can't get it into 15 minutes, but you know, I always try to talk fast. All right, so I'm going to stop my share and see if there might be any questions. And I see that, do we have any questions, Miss Judy or Michael? And actually, that did take a little bit longer if you consider all the time it takes to get me set up in here. So, okay, guys, thanks, Michael. Yes, I think, do I have your, I think I have your email, Michael. If not, listen, I know, I've got a better idea. Can you email me at nancy@poweryourmission.com and ask for the slides? That way I can just send them to you that way. That would be easy, and it'll be a good reminder for me to do that. All right, folks, thank you so very much. I appreciate you and everything you do in the nonprofit sector. Hope to see you on Thursday. Thanks. Bye-bye.